I'm Pete White.
I'm Stephen Mowry.
This is John Fitch.
I'm George Griffin.
I'm Michael Davis.
Hey everybody, this is Island Fight CEO Dean Toole.
Hello world, what's up everyone? How you guys doing? Wow. This is Dave. This is the Fight Bananas podcast, guys. I'm sorry if my voice is a little harsh. It's been a long week. Not going to lie. It's been a week for the books, and that's why I'm talking. This is why I'm recording this podcast. Definitely want to talk to the Fight Bananas community. It's Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. I am in a hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm looking at the skyline. It's around 3 a.m. Beautiful skyline. About to board the hotel, the plane. About to board the hotel. That's funny. And definitely, I want to bring more content. Content's king. We've been killing it. YouTube's on fire. Facebook's on fire. The numbers are on fire, guys. The podcast is the most downloaded podcast we've had in years. It's been amazing, so we appreciate it. Keep on telling people. Tell a friend. Tell Jim. American Top Team. It's people are downloading the podcast. We see it there in Coconut Creek, so we appreciate you guys. Okay. Let's just start from the beginning and work our way through this crazy couple of 5 days here for Fight Bananas. And it was the Epic show, Dean Toole Promotions. We've been talking about it for weeks. Masvidal and Pettis in the main event. Yoel Romero on the show. Just a spectacular show. Supreme Patty's debut boxing match, all that. The card was even better than advertised. The music, the stage, the grappling matches, Yoel Romero submitted Chris Barnett, 3-4 minutes into it, but just not that, the back and forth. Guys, the Masvidal Jorge and the Pettis was insane. They were both going for it. It was showtime. He was definitely throwing up moves that you didn't think that he would throw up. I thought it was spectacular. Loved the show. SD Dumas was another victory for him, keeps his amateur record undefeated. He will be a professional soon, and we're going to talk about that. Kind of breaking news. SD put it out there, but it was so cool to kind of see it in person. So there was a couple key components of that show was first-round management talent. Yoel Romero, Showtime Pettis, and Jorge Masvidal. So Abe and Malky came down from first-round management. They took the little jet. It was the big jet. It was awesome. It was really cool to kind of see those guys. They've been on the show before. Great guys. Big fans. They're big fans of Fight Banana, so it's really cool. It gives us a lot of credibility. And they saw SD. And when you see SD Dumas in person, maybe for the first time, he's different. I don't want to say that name that he gets kind of thrown out to him all the time. That's so harsh because he's the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. But he does look like a little bit like John Jones. Tall, long, strong, great reach, can kick, can wrestle. All the basic guidelines to what John Jones has, what God gave him, God gave that to SD Dumas. So they saw it right away because John Jones is also an FRM client. So they were intrigued. It was cool to be there. I was kind of sitting next to Abe, and they're like, "Hey, what's your opinion on him? And what do you think of SD?" I'm like, "Oh, I love him. He's been on our show multiple times. He was just on our Facebook Live show 10 days ago, a week ago. Great guy." Every time I've met SD, he always takes the time to look at you, shake your hand, talk to you, what's going on. Really, really good dude. And everyone I talk to, he says, they say he trains his ass off daily. He gets better and better. We've been seeing SD around the Pensacola Island Fights area for over 2 years. And now the kid's a monster. He's a champion. He's undefeated. He's going to be a professional. And now he's part of FRM. First round management, signed SD Dumas. It's spectacular for him and his career going forward. Just really cool, good news. We love it. It's kind of why we do what we do, right? They even asked Dean. Dean's like, oh, yeah, love him to death. The kid works harder than everyone else, and he will be a UFC fighter one day. He has that huge potential. Supreme Patty's debut boxing match, I think it went better than what people thought. Supreme did lose to Rudy, and Rudy kind of shocked the world, and he was definitely vocal about it, and it was fun, man. Rudy was fun. He was kind of a good guy to cheer for. His podcast is one of our most downloaded podcasts on Fight Banana, so if you haven't listened to it, definitely go into our archives. Download it on any podcast platform. Fight Bananas. Check out the Rudy Prieto episode. It's a good episode. It's fun. Great fight. I kind of went over the Masvidal one. It was just a great show. Phil Rowe and Biggie Rhodes was awesome. It was just a really, really terrific show. They definitely, everything you wanted and more, I think. That's just my 2 cents. But, okay, I want to kind of talk about more than just the show itself. Guys, these are some of the best fighters in the world in the history of UFC. Anthony Showtime Pettis, the Wheaties box. 3-piece and a soda, Masvidal. Yoel Romero, maybe the best fight of 2018 versus Robert Whittaker. Sergio Pettis came with his brother Anthony and Biggie Rhodes. They're Rufus guys. Phil Rowe, Fusion XL Performance Center. Trains daily with Mike Perry, Jacare Souza, Lucas Alexander, Julian Williams. Said the one of the best gyms in the world and definitely in Florida. So we go out. It is what it is, right? It's Pensacola. It's weigh-ins. They all weighed in. Everything's good. Everyone's here. We went out to dinner and drinks and had a great time. Multiple stories. And multiple stories I'm not going to tell you. It's between us. I respect their privacy. Good stuff, good stories that they told us, or just actions that happened. It was so much fun. Incredible. It's, not a lot of people have 5 hours of dinner and party and hanging out with Showtime Pettis, right? It just doesn't exist. And I was a part of one of those stories. But one of the stories I will tell, just because I think, he didn't ask me to tell it or anything. It's just, it was a really cool, down-to-earth story, and I loved it. It's a raw moment. We're walking around Pensacola, and we were walking around to, it was dinner to one of the bars just to kind of hang out and just kind of relax. It was actually a nice night out. It was like an outdoor bar kind of area. So we're walking around. We're walking from dinner to this bar. Downtown Pensacola. So what does downtowns usually have? They got bums. They got homeless people. They have people that are down on their luck. And us 8-9 men are walking. We're all doing pretty good in our lives. We are so lucky. We're so blessed. We're wearing fancy clothes. Life has been good to us. And 7 of the 8 people walk right by this homeless guy. He's kind of laying down. He's kind of sleeping, but he's kind of up. You know what I mean? It's hard to sleep on the cement and people walking around you, right? We all walk past him, except for Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis stops, kind of looks at him, looks around, doesn't see anyone else around him, and I see him kind of think. Anthony Showtime Pettis takes a $100 bill out of his wallet, goes to the homeless man, and lays it on him, kind of just by his hands. Didn't say, didn't give him a story. And just kind of was like, hey, that guy needs it more than I. It might hopefully change his life for the better. That $100 might give him a shower, might get him motivated to get going, maybe just a little bit of the break that he needs. It was cool. We all kind of man, that's awesome. All of us. His brother. It was just a super, super cool moment that it was happy to be there. So there you go. That's one of those cool stories. Also, so that show ended. We had a trip back, spent a couple hours with the family, and I flew straight out to Las Vegas. I'm here right now, Dana White Contender Series. And when you start doing this day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, you definitely get relationships with the fighters. My family and I, my friends and I, we become Really close with some fighters, also, close enough to call them family. And Hannah Goldy is one of these family members to my wife and I. Been over for parties. They've been over for parties. Odin's going to turn 2 soon. We're going to be there. It's just really great big moments, and we share it together. It's fun times. We have kids. They have kids. It's great. So Hannah Goldy was announced to be on this Dana White Contender Series 8 weeks ago, right? And as soon as she did, I was like, I got to go. I really, really want to go to this one. I've never been to a Dana White Contender Series. There was rumblings at that time that was maybe going to move to this new Apex, and we'll kind of get into that in a second. But, I love Vegas. I love to travel and to support family. That's what you do. Family helps family. So I was going to make the trip. Then to be added to this was we heard, Dean told me Brock Weaver's on the show. And Brock Weaver's family to Dean. So now Dean is 100% coming because Dean, Hannah Goldy's fought for Island Fights numerous times, and now Brock is family. So now Dean's coming. Dean Toole, promoter from Island Fights. So now, and Brock is one of my favorite fighters to watch. Bar none, any company at any time, Brock Weaver is much must-watch TV. Love him. We had dinner with him tonight, actually. So, great guy. Just love to watch him fight. We'll kind of get into that. We'll get into that right now. His fighter dropped out. It sucks. Brock was upset. We were all upset and devastated for him. He trained his ass off. He was probably, he said, in one of the best shapes of his life. He made championship weight. His fighter did not. They're moving Brock to that August 13th. I think it's like the week 8 of the show. And Brock Weaver will stay on the show, and he will have the chance to get to earn that UFC contract. But it just, there's sometimes timing in life happens, and this just was not Brock Weaver's time. But the icing on the cake was Alton Meeks. Alton Meeks, we found out probably 3 weeks ago, maybe 20 days ago, that he was coming on this show as well. So, guys, I was coming for Hannah. And then Brock was, on the show. It was a couple days later. I'm like, oh, my gosh, Hannah and Brock, this is amazing. And then Alton Meeks also been on the Fight Bananas live show, been on the podcast, check the archives. I couldn't miss this show. So I flew out here, spent some great time, getting things done, working with Dean Toole, working for future stuff. Like I said, Fight Bananas is on fire, guys. But, the Apex, UFC Apex, brand new, just opened it, just breaking news everywhere, what they're doing, with the Octagon in it, and this is where the Dana White Contender Series will be had. This is where future other shows will be had as well, other fight organizations maybe, who knows. There's shows going to be in there, their training facilities, it's a state-of-the-art facility. It was beautiful. We walked in it. First thing we both had to go to the bathroom. So we went to the bathroom. The bathrooms are amazing. It's insane. The memorabilia around the wall. I have a video of me kind of like walking through the doors for the first time. Super, super cool. Check out Fight Bananas YouTube for some of the videos, or just even my personal Instagram or Facebook, David Van Auken. Spell it correctly. David, it's VAN space AUKEN. So check that out on my social media platforms. Just a great, great facility. With Brock not being on the card, there's 4 fights. It stunk. Yeah, Alton was the first one. Just wasn't his night. Got kicked in the leg. The other fighter just was all in. It was just, shit happens. It just does, right? And it was a tough pill to swallow. The second fight was really, really good, but third fight was our girl, Hannah Goldy. Put on a great performance, 30-27, 30-27, 30-26. I love that. I love 10-8 rounds. There should be a lot more of them. And Hannah Goldy won. And Dean Toole gave me a little tidbit, was every single fighter that's ever won on the Dana White Contender Series has fought in the UFC. Not half, not 75%, not 90%, 100%. So, and at the end of the show, I'm going to play the 4 minutes of what Dana White said about each fighter. I kind of taped it live. It's on the Fight Bananas YouTube page, so we're going to put that at the end of the podcast. But Hannah did not receive a contract, and it was just like, hey, she's undefeated. She's 5-0. Dana liked her winning, but she wanted, seemed like he wanted her to be a little bit maybe more aggressive in some parts. And, hey, it is what it is. You're still undefeated, still have a great look. She will definitely one day be in the UFC. It's just a matter of time. It was just a great show. The main event almost of the card was awesome. It was Panui. It was I think it was Brad Tavares' brother or cousin. And a lot of fans and a lot of his teammates were cheering him on. He was definitely the fan favorite. Great showing. He did receive a UFC contract. But the last thing I thought was so cool, I'm sitting 3 seats away from Henry Cejudo. T. Wood was in the building. Ragin' Alaquinta was in the building. There was so many fighters. Todd Duffy was there. Just so cool. So many UFC fighters. It was awesome. It was really cool to be at the Apex the very first time it opened. We were sitting front row. I had 20 people DM me through social media. As soon as Hannah Goldy won, she walks out of the cage. I'm literally the first person right there. I'm just right there. She walks out of the cage. I'm right there. I'm standing. I'm cheering her on. She gives me a hug. It was awesome. It was just, trip well worth it right there and then. Flying across the nation, all the hard work, all the time. It was worth it. It was awesome. So before we get into a couple last things, like I said, we'll go into the Dana White Contender Series moment on YouTube. We're going to put that on the podcast for you right now. I just want to make sure you guys check out Winner's Bar. They're in Port Orange, Florida. They're our newest sponsor to the podcast, Winner's Bar. If you're ever in the Central Florida area, or check them out on Facebook, they even have a instead of Winner's Bar, they call them Winner's Tube. They have a place that you can take your car in Leesburg, Florida. They're all around. They're taking over Central Florida. So check them out. Give them a follow on Facebook, Winner's Bar. One of the last things I want to get into right before cleanup time was a legend retired over the weekend, guys. For Bellator, it was that Madison Square Garden show. Lyoto Machida defeated Chael Sonnen, and after the fight, Chael Sonnen retired. A living legend, guys. The American Gangster. You kind of love him or you hate him. There's no middle ground for Chael, and I'm a love him guy. He makes it fun. His rivalry versus Anderson Silva is one of the greatest rivalries in UFC history. He made it fun. His podcast is amazing. He's animated. He just, I was always attracted to his fights. I would always buy his pay-per-views. So, big fan of Chael Sonnen. Will be sincerely missed in the mixed martial arts game. You never know if he stays retired. You never know if he comes out of it for one last fight, Bellator or any other organization. But we'll see. This weekend, guys, UFC Greenville, South Carolina. We have our fight predictions on fightbananas.com. We always love to get a special guest. This week we have Mark De La Rosa on as a special guest. They picked the fights. And one reason why we wanted him on, his lovely wife is fighting on the show, which is a key fight in the female flyweight division. So I thought it was super, super cool to have him. He makes his picks. That will be on fightbananas.com. Will be put out any day now. Could be out as you're listening to it. Check out fightbananas.com. It's probably out. It's on it. You guys can hear my voice is going. I'm low on sleep. It's been an unbelievable ride. One for the books. To meet all these professional fighters. To have great stories. Great stories with Abe from First Round Management. Who's Showtime going to fight next? What does he do for his clients and everything in between? Just such a good time. Dean Toole Promotions put on an absolute great show. Dana White Contender Series, first time ever, was an outstanding show. Great build in the UFC Apex. Just really cool stuff, guys. Like I said, I'm going to wrap it up. I just definitely want to talk to you guys. I'm doing the travel, and And, I think a smart man once said, like, the show must go on, something of that nature. I don't know if that man has kids or is traveling a lot that day or week, but, it is what it is. I wanted to get a podcast out to you guys. So definitely check out fightbananas.com, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We appreciate it, man. Guys, everyone out there, all the fighters, we appreciate you guys. We have multiple interviews coming out soon. This week, maybe early next week, we got a lot of good interviews coming out. A lot of really, really good stuff. Gosh, just thank you so much, man. Everyone stay blessed. And here's Dana White.
Loved his takedown defense. Loved the way that this guy fought. Finishes the fight on leg kicks. The biggest underdog on the card. And he took on the number 8 ranked guy in the country for Greco-Roman wrestling. And was stuffing his takedowns, stopping his takedowns. And this guy none of his fights have gone over 2 minutes. And he wins the fight. Leg kicks. I like him. He's in.
We talked a little bit before about how age can be a factor. He is 32, but obviously in the heavyweight division, age is maybe less of a factor. His performance outweigh that, I take it?
It is. In the heavyweight division, these guys don't cut weight. Most of them don't cut weight. Let's hope they're not cutting weight if you're in the heavyweight division. And, their careers last longer. And this kid looked good. He's a talented guy. He's got some, I'm going to see what he's got.
Anyone else look good tonight?
Well, let me walk through so we had the, Brendan and Bill fought. Great fight. They're both durable, tough guys, banging it out. And I have to give Brendan credit. He fought a guy who's been a champion in 2 different, but let me tell you what you don't do. You don't come here, you don't fight that type of fight, and you don't go for the double leg with 10 seconds left of the fight. All right? I think that this kid is talented. I think he's got a ton of heart, and I think he's eventually going to be in the UFC, just not tonight. All right, now, Hannah Goldy. Looks promising, looks tough. She needs more experience. I think that when she actually goes in and engages, she's unbelievable. I mean, the combinations that this girl was landing, I saw her land, a jab, a straight right, and a hook, then a head kick right after it, but there wasn't enough of it. I think that she could have won this fight by finish. I think if she pushed the pace harder than she did, she ran a lot in this fight, but she shows a lot of promise, and I think that she's another one that will someday be in the UFC, just not tonight. Puna and Pickett. Now, this was the perfect fight for a guy named Puna. He fought a guy who has double the amount of fights than him. The guy has way more experience than him. And Puna's never been out of the first round. Tonight, he went 3 tough rounds, which was a great experience for him that he can grow off of. I'm going to tell you what I like about Puna. Puna goes in to kill you. This guy goes in to knock your head right off your shoulders. And tonight, I believe that he was in the deepest water he's ever been in. I don't know. I haven't talked to the kid, but I'm going to imagine he felt like he was going to die in that 3rd round. It was the closest to death he's ever felt because he's never been pushed that hard. He's never, fought a guy with that much experience. And he still took him down, took the top position, kept fighting. I believe that Puna is a killer, and I got to have him. So, we're talking. Yeah, I like guys who cry when they don't finish, too. I like guys that, seriously, I like guys that want to win that bad, that want to finish that bad, that it destroys them when they don't. I think the guys who really, I think he needs a little bit of work. I think tonight is going to be lucky. He needs to become better, and I think he's going to be better.
You said you got to see them grow a little bit more. We've got more episodes this season. Any chance we'll see them again?
I don't know. We'll see. I guarantee you those two will both end up being in the UFC. They didn't show me what I wanted to see tonight.
Dana, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.